Welcome back to my channel, Celebes. Please share and subscribe and press the bell icon for new updates. Angie Dickinson, I hate his Angie Dickinson, was born with the name Angeline Brown on September 30, 1931, in a town called Combe in North Dakota. She grew up in a regular family in a small town in the middle part of America. When she was still a kid, her family moved to Burbank, California. This move put her right in the middle of where movies and TV shows were made after the big war ended. At first, Angie never dreamed of being a movie star. She went to college to study business at two schools, Glendale Community College and Immaculate Heart College in Los Angeles. She wanted to work as someone who helps in an office or maybe writes stories. But something surprising happened in 1953 when she entered a contest to find the prettiest girl in town and won it. This win led to chances to be on TV and in movies. She got her big break when she appeared as a guest on popular TV shows in the 1950s like Death Valley Days and the Colgate Comedy Hour. Her pretty looks mixed with her natural way of acting on camera and her smart mind caught the attention of the people who picked actors for movies in Hollywood. By the middle of the 1950s, she was getting small but important parts in big movies. She often played smart women who were strong and could stand up to the men who were the main star. One of her first really important roles was acting next to John Wayne in a movie called Rio Bravo in 1959. This part showed everyone that she was not just beautiful, but also a really good actress who could show deep feelings and different sides of her characters. This role made critics say good things about her and made her known as one of the top actresses in Hollywood. During the 1960s and 1970s, Angie was in many movies that people still remember today. She worked with some of the most famous directors and actors of that time. She acted in crime movies, scary movies, and funny romantic movies, easily changing from one type to another. Her parts in movies like The Killers in 1964, Point Blank in 1967, and Ocean's 11 in 1960, with a group called the Rat Pack, showed how well she could play different kinds of characters, from dangerous women to romantic leading ladies. People knew her for being smart and quick with funny comments. She could show both weakness and strength at the same time, which made her characters feel real and interesting to watch. Maybe her most famous role came on TV in the late 1970s when she played a character named Sergeant Pepper Anderson in a groundbreaking police show called Policewoman from 1974 to 1978. This TV series was one of the first big network shows to have a woman police officer as the main character. And it was a huge hit and an important moment in TV history. Angie's way of playing Pepper was strong but also caring, which inspired many women to think about jobs in police work and other jobs that were mostly done by men before. She won a Golden Globe Award for this role and was nominated for Emmy Awards many times, becoming a name that everyone in America knew. When she wasn't acting, people admired Angie for how graceful, charming, and tough she was in a business that was often mean to women as they got older. She handled the changing world of Hollywood with style, appearing in both big, important projects and smaller movies that focused on characters well into the 2000s. She also became known for her personal friendships with other entertainment legends, including close friendships with Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and other Rat Pack members, as well as a famous marriage to a music composer named Burt Bacharach, with whom she had a daughter named Lee Nicky. In her later years, Angie kept taking on special acting jobs, appearing in movies like Pay It Forward in 2000 and making guest appearances on TV shows. She was honored with many awards that recognized her whole career, celebrating not only her talent, but also her role as a pioneer for women in TV drama. Her work left a mark on popular culture that will never go away, and her legacy is celebrated by fans and other actors. In the years that followed, Angie continued to act in both movies and TV shows, taking on roles that showed her range and growth as a performer. She appeared in well-respected projects like Dressed to Kill in 1980, directed by Brian De Palma, and later in movies like Ocean's 11 in 2001, which was a nod to her early career connection to Sinatra's 1960 Rat Pack original movie. Even as she took on fewer roles in later years, she stayed a beloved person in the entertainment world, admired for her lasting beauty, talent, and professional behavior. Angie Dickinson's personal life was just as interesting and complex as her Hollywood career, marked by relationships that ranged from famous marriages to deeply personal. Her first marriage was to Gene Dickinson, a very handsome college football player whose sports skills were matched by a smart business mind. After his football days ended, Gene moved into the electronics business, building a good career in a field that was growing fast after the war. The couple got married in 1952 at a time when Angie was still in the early stages of her acting career. Although their relationship looked good at first, by 1956 they had quietly separated, with their divorce becoming final in 1960. But during those years together, Angie's world grew in ways she didn't expect. She developed a close and lasting friendship with a famous economist named John Kenneth Galbraith and his wife, Catherine, both of whom were very smart people who were deeply involved in political and cultural circles. Angie's visits to the Galbraiths became more than just social visits. They were windows into an elite world of diplomacy, conversation, and international travel. When Galbraith served as U.S. ambassador to India from 1961 to 1963, Angie visited them overseas, experiencing the exotic landscapes, colorful culture, and complex political realities of the region. Galbraith himself would later remember these visits fondly in his books, Ambassador's Journal, and A Life in Our Times, giving glimpses into a glamorous actress getting involved in the sophisticated, high-stakes world of global politics. Even after her divorce from Gene Dickinson, Angie made the choice to keep his last name. This choice not only kept her professional identity, but also reflected the name by which the world had come to know and admire her. Her second marriage brought Angie into the world of music's elite. In 1965, she married celebrated composer and songwriter Burt Bacharach, a man whose melodies and arrangements defined much of the 1960s and 1970s pop music landscape. Theirs was a union that lasted 16 years, marked by both shared successes and personal struggles. Although they enjoyed periods of happiness, their marriage was not without problems. Late in their relationship, the couple went through a period of separation during which they agreed to date other people. This was a very unusual arrangement for the time, and one that showed both the complexity of their personalities and the changing cultural attitudes toward marriage in the 1970s. On July 12, 1966, Angie gave birth to their daughter, Lee Nikki Bacharach, lovingly known as Nikki. From a young age, Nikki faced big challenges. She was diagnosed with autism, a condition that was much less understood then than it is today. Angie devoted herself to her daughter's care, dealing with a world in which support systems for special needs children were very limited, and shame was still widespread. Sadly, Nikki's struggles with her condition and related difficulties led her to take her own life on January 4, 2007. This was a loss that Angie would carry with her for the rest of her day. Burt Bacharach, with whom Angie shared both the joys and sorrows of being parents, passed away in 2023, ending a chapter in her life that had been filled with both beautiful music and deep heartbreak. In the years following her divorce from Bacharach, Angie continued to live life with the same openness to connection that had defined her earlier relationships. In the 1980s, she began a romantic relationship with singer and songwriter Billy Vera, known for his soulful voice and heartfelt lyrics. The pairing was both personal and professional. Angie even appeared in the music video for his hit single I Can Take Care of Myself, a visual proof of the chemistry they shared. Their romance was a vibrant part of her life during that time, reflecting her ability to connect with men from very different walks of life, whether from Hollywood, the music industry, or the media. The 1990s brought another high-profile relationship into Angie's life when she began dating Larry King. Larry King was the legendary radio and TV interviewer whose gravelly voice and signature suspenders were recognized around the world. For several years, Angie and King were a familiar sight together, their relationship mixing Hollywood glamour with media fame. While they ultimately did not marry, their time together was marked by mutual admiration and the kind of lively conversations that both loved. Perhaps the most lasting and deeply personal love in Angie Dickinson's life, however, was one that remained mostly private until she chose to speak about it in 2023. That year, she revealed that she had shared an on-and-off affair with none other than Frank Sinatra, a romantic relationship that lasted 2 decades. Sinatra, already a legend in music and film, was known for his magnetic presence, quick wit, and complex personality. To Angie, he was far more than an icon. He was, as she described, the love of my life and one of the most charismatic men that ever was. Their relationship, though intermittent and kept secret, was built on an undeniable connection. Their connection lasted through changing times and circumstances. Sinatra's world of Rat Pack sophistication, smoky nightclubs, and timeless ballads became mixed with Angie's own life story, adding yet another layer of mystery to her already captivating personal story. Through each of these relationships, whether short or long-term, joyful or tragic, Angie Dickinson's romantic history reflected her independence, her willingness to take emotional risks, and her refusal to be defined by what others expect. Her love life, like her career, was lived boldly, without apology, and always in her own way. Angie Dickinson, the celebrated Hollywood actress known for her bright beauty and commanding presence on both the big screen and television, held an intense and rarely discussed hatred toward one person above all others in her life, Lee Marvin. While Angie was often shown in the media as charming, gracious, and the picture of poise, her feelings toward Marvin revealed a far more complicated and deeply personal side of her personality. This was a side few fans or colleagues ever saw. She did not merely dislike him in a casual or passing way. She truly deeply despised him, and this hatred seemed to burn with a quiet but unyielding intensity that colored her memories and stories about him for years. Angie Dickinson, I despise his. In private interviews and honest conversations, Angie once admitted with an edge of raw honesty that surprised even experienced journalists. I despise his arrogance, his cruelty, and the way he made everyone around him feel small. Those 3 words, arrogance, cruelty, small, hinted at a long-standing tension, likely rooted in both professional and personal interaction. Marvin, famous for his tough guy image and often explosive temper, was well known in Hollywood circles for his unpredictability, his sharp tongue, and his disregard for the feelings of others, especially women he worked with or met socially. For Angie, who valued respect, professionalism, and integrity above all, encountering Marvin's harsh, domineering behavior must have been deeply disappointing. Her statement shows more than mere dislike. It is a moral judgment, an expression of anger at someone whose character she found fundamentally disgusting. Beyond character flaws, Angie's disgust likely reflected deeper psychological and emotional conflicts. Lee Marvin's larger-than-life personality, his rugged masculinity, public showing off, and reputation for being difficult to manage may have clashed sharply with Angie's own sense of control and independence in a male-dominated industry. To her, Marvin might have represented the very worst of Hollywood's self-centered culture. Men who use charm, intimidation, or raw force of personality to control situations, overshadow others, and demand control. Every meeting with him may have reminded her of the unfair treatment women endured in the entertainment world, turning what could have been professional friction into something far more personal and bitter. Finally, Angie's hatred seems to have been made stronger by the lasting nature of Marvin's behavior. She did not merely vent frustration in the moment. Her words suggest a long-term simmering anger, one that stayed in her memory long after their professional or social interactions ended. The strength of her feeling, describing someone as the person she hated more than anyone, is striking, particularly coming from a woman widely regarded as generous and friendly. It hints at a story of repeated offenses of a man whose presence consistently caused outrage, and of a woman whose moral compass and personal dignity would not allow her to forget or forgive those wrongdoings easily. In essence, Angie Dickinson's hatred of Lee Marvin was not born from petty jealousy, small misunderstandings, or temporary conflict. It came from a deep clash of values, personalities, and ethics made bigger by the unique pressures of Hollywood life. To Angie, Marvin was the embodiment of traits she could not tolerate: cruelty masked by charm, arrogance disguised as confidence, and a willful putting down of others for personal gain.